Welcome back to the Social Distance Podcast, guys. A very quick episode after the last one. With George, it's his MIQ, so he's very motivated to chat. We don't chat about a hell of a lot of elephants in the room. We avoid them like the plague, and we go into talk about some other things.
We actually don't know what's in the show because we don't know what I'm going to chop out. So this could be just a mixed bag.
This could be our last show.
Enjoy the most edited version of the Social Distance Podcast in history. Like, share, subscribe.
I die a little bit every time I hear the intro. Let's just not do the intro.
Well, then that's more reason to do it. Come on, mate. Let's just do it.
No.
Let's just play it. Mate, you've got to get over the fact that you won the Nationals.
You do it, I'll mute it. Go.
All right.
I'm not prepared for this.
This is going to be a good one. I can sense it.
Let's get ready to rumble! And we're fucking G.
Are we?
Ah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, you can't impeach somebody that's doing a great job.
From Suchin Tendulkar.
Bruce Gigolo.
George Bennett, you deserve this, big fella.
What's that salute?
He's put the finger straight through the one play.
We try and create a comfortable environment. There's no bullshit.
There's just so many of them, aren't there, though, that just don't like it.
Nelson, be proud. Yeah, baby.
Righto, guys. Look, we're back, and I reckon this is the first time I've ever been nervous for a podcast that we've done. A couple of reasons.
This is the 8th edit of the podcast. Is that reason number one?
This is the 8th edit to the intro. Secondly, I'm in unfamiliar territory, new surroundings. Took me a while to get my bearings. And thirdly, I've been wrong-footed by two things. George, this is the first time in Social Distance Podcast history that George instigated this episode. He was driven by George. It was motivated by George. And that is more rare than a dick pic from Australian cricket.
Australian cycling. Hang on, mate. You start digging us into that. It's a cricket team. It's got nothing to do with the bike riders.
Cricket Australia.
Yeah. You're just filthy that we beat you in the World Cup, mate. Just keep us out.
No dick pics from anyone in cycling. We should clear that up right now.
No,
that's right.
There's been from
cricketers only
organisations.
Yeah.
So the other reason I wanted to do this podcast, just talk about stuff that you guys have edited out. So might as well leave.
Jones is going to have to.
You've vetoed my topic of conversation. I just wanted to get your hot take on a few things that have gone on, but
this show is going to be like the episode of The Simpsons when Homer went on that show called Rock Bottom, and they try to edit his interview, and they see the clock in the corner and keep changing time. Because all I wanted to do was touch a sweet can, sweet can.
Right. Good luck with the edit, Jonesy.
Oh well, let's get back to what we spoke about earlier.
This is the first time in Social Distance Podcast history that this show has been entirely instigated and driven by George.
I know.
Which has really thrown me off.
That does make me nervous too. What's going on?
I don't want to be here. I'll just tell you, I still don't want to be here, but I want to be here slightly more than I want to be in a room with my missus and MIQ. So here we are.
Well, it's good to have you.
Yeah, welcome back.
I'm testing the noise cancelling earphones capability really early on because I'm just saying something and I'm seeing if she's looking daggers at me, and she can. You don't. They're not noise cancelling. She's staring daggers at me. So I said, "Look, put your noise cancelling on for this app." And so I just tested the waters. There she go. Turn that on. That's right. Don't listen to me.
How is it,
how's it this time around? You got the same military dudes at the front going, I'll see you at 0800.
1400. Just give me military times when I'm allowed to go for a 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
It's worse. It's way worse second time around. It's weird because it's only 7 days this time around. But I think the first time it was a novel. And this time it's 7 days. And it's just I just never thought I'd be here again. Yeah, and you just I'm nearly out. And it's not that bad. I mean, it's just everyone's, it just seems like the thrill's worn off. And when it was 14 days, it was almost like like the team camps, like teams have those camps where they I think you probably touched on it last week with Hannah, they take you up to the Norway and you put you out in the cold for 48 hours. And it's like this whole sort of like a spirit quest. This time it's just an inconvenience, and I don't want to be here. But nearly out, 3 days left, and I can't actually complain. Good food, got an erg, and we're nearly. Yeah, I'm just trying to.
How'd you go? How'd you go in your Zwift race yesterday?
Got spanked, absolutely punished.
Standard Zwift day.
And I'm also lying about my weight, and I'm still losing.
Oh yeah,
that's not good.
Maybe go back to B grade.
Well, I've got my race weight in there. I haven't got my post 4 weeks not touching a bike.
Yeah, but it works out though, because like your weight's gone up and your form's gone down, so it actually evens out. You're actually better off to leave your weight at rate. If you put your weight to what it currently is, you would get even more spanked because you haven't got the watts.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I just need to pick my races a bit better. I think I just need to get on some obscure time zone and just start. I'll tell you what I did this morning though. It got me through my ride this morning. Is I got on a Zoom call with like Sam Whitelock, a few of the other boys, the All Blacks and trainers and staff, and they were. You seen what they're doing? They're in MIQ, so they got on a day after me. And these blokes are riding 24 hours on a watt bike, just 24 hours, like non-stop, not good enough.
Really?
And I tuned in. They'd done this morning when I joined them for the first part of my ride. I zoomed in on this call and like heaps of guys were on there, and they was like, some of them were like, most of them were riding bikes. Like Eric Murray was on there riding a bike, and then there was just like Izzy Dag, just like kicking around, like, "I'll see you boys, I'm off to play some golf." I was like, "Oh, cheers, bro." And then. Yeah, so they're just pedaling away, and like, I think they did like 500. They were 14 hours in. One of them done like 500k already, and they still had obviously quick maths, 10 hours left.
No, 10.
10.
What are they doing? Like for charity or something?
November. Yeah, November.
Ah, right. Seems a bit harder than growing a moustache, eh?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'd rather just grow the moustache over 31 days than 24 hours of bike riding.
And then I was just getting my head around it. So I had a 2-hour ride, and like I was an hour and a half in, and I was just staring at the fucking toilet, because that's again, I've been like relegated to the toilet because I'm just sweating, and we can't just live amongst like pools of sweat on the carpet. So I'm just in the shitter doing intervals. And I was like an hour and a half in, I was just looking around, like sweating, overheating so badly, and just thinking that these guys had got 22 hours left.
Oh.
I'm sure they're not doing strengthies, but yeah, good on them, man. Good stuff.
Hey, Bewls, the listeners would be keen to know how far you've progressed to the greatest New Year's Eve party in New Zealand history. We made any progress?
We've had a couple of people reach out that have offered up suitable venues. Mm-hmm. One of the guys offered up 1,000 square meter factory. We could have had a massive game of indoor cricket.
Oh, that's a great idea.
But the thing for me, and one of the guys that he messaged us with an option as well, I said to him, we're trying to weigh up whether we do it this year because you can't get here, obviously, or do we postpone it another year? And he was a big advocate for having you there. And as much as I'd love to do that party this year, I feel like it wouldn't be a party hosted by the Social Distance Podcast without the crew. Without all three of us, especially given the fact that George and I wouldn't have any idea what the fuck we were doing, and we'd need you to steer the ship.
It's like when Jerry Halliwell left the Spice Girls, That's sort of like, yeah, is it Spice Girls? Nah.
Exactly.
Still bout out a good harmony, but it just doesn't have, what spice was she?
Ginger spice.
Ginger.
That is a bit like you, actually. I reckon we postpone. I don't know. What do you think, George? But maybe we postpone 12 months so we can have the full crew there, and maybe start the planning slightly earlier than.
I think George is frozen, or he's just doing an absolute statue pose. Yeah, George is frozen again. It's good to have you back, George.
Good to have you back, George. What else is new, mate?
Yeah, it sounded like a rough time in the bathroom, mate. You got through that. You're in a shit mood again. Quarantine, you're getting good food, getting looked after. It's not good enough.
Shit internet.
Shit. Oh, no, hang on. This is like old school days, remember?
Oh, we're going two up. Oh, yeah. Double George.
It's been a, I don't know what you guys were talking about, but how How controversial has this week been?
I'll just kick double George. Yeah, sorry.
We were talking about the fact that you'd frozen, and we had two of you when you came back on. There was two of you there again, double George, frozen George, and live George.
Yeah, I rate that.
Yeah, remember when you had that singlet? You had that singlet on that time, and we had double George, and I was calling you Skeletor, and then we were talking about body shaming issues and things like that.
It said that you look like a human thumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's just actually my split personality. Had a few controversial emails this morning, Bewls. Do you get those as well?
I've had quite a number in the last few days. Are you talking about Cycling New Zealand and all the resignations? There's been a number in there. Like,
what's going on? What's going on?
I honestly didn't know that many people work in the office.
I mean, there's been more resignations than people. It's been. I got your resignation email. Did you mean to send that? Are they just resigning on behalf of people?
Yeah, maybe.
Is Craig Geeta still there?
He's still there.
Geets is kicking around. If he puts his resignation in, I'm putting mine. I'm going down with him.
No, we don't want Geets to do it. But
something with Bruin, eh?
Yeah. Well, there's been a whole lot of stuff, hasn't there? Like, obviously, there was a tragic passing of Olivia Podmore a few months ago, and the subsequent investigation into that, which I'm sure has been tiresome to say the least for a lot of the people at staff and at Cycling New Zealand. And then, of course, it's the end of an Olympic cycle. You start a new Olympic cycle now. It's not uncommon that that organisations do a clean slate, get rid of some guys and get some new guys in. That's how sort of it always has worked with high performance sport and Olympic cycles. And then, of course, today this press release has come out saying that there was an inquiry into a breach of integrity from Bike and Z at the Cycling New Zealand at the Olympics, which no one knows. We can't even speculate what that was at the moment because we only reading what the press release says. But obviously that might have been another cause of things that was brewing, because leading up till that announcement today of that inquiry into breach of integrity was like fucking countless emails of just resignation. And I mean, a lot of people have left for different reasons. The CEO who we know pretty well, Jacques, he's left, because he's Canadian, and when this pandemic hit, his family and his son is over in Canada, and he hasn't been able to leave the country. His son obviously hasn't been able to get in, so it's been 2 years since he's seen his family. So that's a big driving force for him to want to go home. But yeah, it's been a bloody whirlwind for cycling.
A lot of people that we've known our whole lives, and a lot of the people I've only known over email. So in 2008, when maybe 2006 or whatever it was, my first ever foray into cycling. Like, I got an email. I think it was like Huey Castle was the officer. She was always doing logistics, everything, and she had just been like, I've never actually met her, but she was just a standard in my life of emails. I've probably sent more email to her than anyone else in my life over a 16-year period or whatever.
And her emails were enough for you to be like, she is a legend.
She's a legend.
Yeah,
never met her. Just it's a vibe thing. Then got an email saying she was leaving, and I was like, oof. And then the next day we got another email about,
will you shut up, man? Listen,
oh, get at that. She must be listening, going, fucking what?
It was worth.
I don't know.
You just want to go through a list and go, they may or may not be leaving. We'll just read out the entire list of people that work at Cycling New Zealand, and all the best. All the best.
Maybe she sends the emails going, hi guys, a quick note from, and they come from her. So I've always gone like, she's leaving.
No, I'll tell you why. No, I won't actually. I'm distancing myself from this conversation.
How much of any sort of scandal, no matter when it happened, was the people love jumping on, and they get
look at the
smell
Paine
of blood.
Thing.
Oh,
so people that don't know, Tim Paine, Aussie cricket captain, has
stepped down as captain, and he's stepped down from cricket as of today. So, like, he's walked away from cricket. And this was a text message exchange that came out from 4 years ago. And it was like, it was consensual. It seemed consensual. It was like, he was married at the time, just had a kid, shouldn't have done it. And he was sending, he sent a dick pic or whatever. But the messages that came out was like, He sounded horny. She sounded horny. It was wrong, but he knew those messages were going to come out. So he does a presser, and it's standard Aussie cricket presser. There was tears. There was a statement. There was always that, I won't be fielding questions after this. I'd like to read a statement. You're like, oh, shit, mate. All the best.
Yeah, something's going on here.
Yeah. And then when he's read all that out, well, then all the questions were like, hang on. If there was an investigation and they then appointed him captain, this is like straight off the back of the Sandpate gate. They go, well, what was the duty of care there? Like, there's an investigation in this guy. Why the fuck did you put it? And then they're wiping their hands going, oh, no, we didn't know. Blah. And then everyone's jumping on going, well, it was unsolicited messages. And then I was sort of sitting there going, look, it was definitely wrong. He was married at the time. But
I don't know if it was unsolicited.
Was it unsolicited? Because then everyone jumped on going, sending messages that other person didn't want or whatever. I'm like, hey, hang on. Whoa. Hang on. I'm not sure about that.
It's weird. Like it's an interesting thing, right? Like, should sending a dick pic, I mean, firstly, you're an idiot sending a dick pic. I mean, who sends a dick pic? I mean, like,
I heard a guy on a podcast today saying that everyone does it. You talk to any 20-year-old, 30-year-old sending a dick pic.
I've never sent
a dick pic.
No,
and that's purely from confidence issues. I don't want that shit getting out there.
I just feel like there's a way to if there's any way to go, like, right, let's hand someone some leverage. Here's a picture of my dick. And on top of that, like, here's something that will come. Here's a guaranteed way to give me something to think about at 2 a.m. in the morning, going, shit, there's a dick pic out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just
it's never coming back. It's never coming back.
It's such an unnecessary way to, like, just incriminating thing. But anyway, whether you would or you wouldn't, I mean, I think pretty much everybody. So this guy reckons everyone sends one. I don't know anyone that sends them. But
no.
Okay, but anyway,
Paine things. It's real interesting though, because it happened 5 years ago. There was an investigation, and he was presumably, and I think this was correct. He was cleared of the investigation. Came to nothing. He wasn't, and he didn't get in trouble for it. And he continued to play cricket for 5 more years. But now it's come out because this girl that was involved, she lost her job recently.
She was stealing something.
For theft. And
stealing dick pics.
And so it's all come out again. And it's quite so he's sort of been thrown under the bus a little bit by Cricket Australia. And because of the fact that it's reared its head again. But at the end of the day, he's been cleared. Yeah, he made a mistake probably, but that's between him and his wife to sort out, which I'm assuming that they did. And she said she knew 5 years ago. So they've moved on. He's moved on. They've moved on together. And now it's reared its head, and now he's in the shit again. So he made a mistake. Yeah, first thing you do when you make a mistake is you got to pay the price, pay the consequences, and then it moves on to whether people want to forgive you or not. And they did, and people moved on, namely his wife mainly. But now it's all come up again, and now he's bloody stepped down as a captain. Now he's stepped away from cricket. Now he's not going to be in the Ashes. He's taking an indefinite break from cricket.
The problem is the sport of cricket. Cricket's a sport that if you fuck up, you don't want to be playing on the field because people are going to blow up dicks, and they're on the fence going, "Shush your dick, Tim," and you're like, I can't deal with that.
Sonny Bill slept with David Warner's missus, and then everyone showed up to that game wearing Sonny Bill masks.
Yeah.
Just troll.
It's the worst sport to face up on the field. Whereas if you were playing golf, there's signs everywhere. Quiet, please. You might get the odd person in the background going, dick pic. Hey,
and then don't even
get him out.
And not even to mention on the field, cricket is hugely renowned for sledging. And Tim Paine is the king of it, and he's he's bloody good at it.
He was with Ash when he was the Yap. Get him to the Gabba.
Yeah, he's keeping wicket. He's there for 5 days against the Poms at the Ashes, chirping away. He can't. He'd have to be the most silent wicketkeeper of all time, because as soon as he says anything, the batsmen are going to go, mate, we've got a cannon full of fodder here. Bring it on.
Can you imagine if there was this in the Pello? Just guys just chirping, I mean, maybe there is. But just yap from something,
you've had many run-ins, mate. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it's not just chipping. It's more like here and now we're fighting over this wheel. Yeah. It's not just raking over the coals or something it's
not like picking on one rider and for spending the next 6 hours just chirping them. You know,
Yeah, a whole
just like
team.
little
Actually, I did see this once. I did see this in the Vuelta last year. No, the Giro this year. And it was a rider from Trek had been. Oh, I'm trying to think who he was squaring off against. Oh yeah, I remember. I'm not going to name names, but what had happened is these two guys had a fight, and one was an older, experienced, very successful rider, and the other was a young up and comer. And it was the stage that Bettiol won, and like Bevan. It was a huge break, went away, really hard stage, and then the peloton just went right. Go, you guys go race for the win. We're just going to cruise and basically take a day off. But then it was a bit stressful at the end. But anyway, so for like 40k coming into these circuits, we were going so easy, and then it started getting faster as the stress started. And what happened is this young kid had said something to the old boy and said, basically like, you're past it, along those lines. And this old guy went, okay. And then he spent the next like 50k with his whole team with him, just pushing this guy out into the wind, just pushing him out, and just wouldn't let him into the peloton, and made him ride out in the wind. And then as it started getting harder, this young guy was just getting real tired. He was trying to come back in, and I was in the middle of them one time, and the guy was like, "Oh, George, excuse me," and I was like, "Oh, where are you trying to go?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just trying to flick this guy, like really pleasantly. Oh, I'm just trying to flick him." And I went, "You know what? Go for it." Go through, mate, jump through. So I let him like cross through our team train. And then I just sat there beside him, just watching him, just lean on this guy, just push him out. Every time we tried to come back in, push him out. And this guy just like, no matter where he went, if he put the brakes on, go to the back, this guy would bring like 3 of his teammates, and they'd all just go to the back with him, push him out into the wind. So good.
I had way back in the day, and Simon van Veldhoven won't mind me telling the story. Simon van Veldhoven, who we had on as one of our original guests, he was Olympic track cyclist, won a medal in the Keirin and stuff. And when I was in the track team and he was in the track team, he was a sprinter or a kilo rider actually at the time. But he'd won the scratch race title, the national title or something the year before. Like he just sort of, I'll do the scratch race. The race wasn't so fast. And obviously he was the quickest dude there and smoked everybody in the sprint. And then the following year at the Nationals, he spent the whole week just chirping me and the endurance guys, like how he's going to beat us, like, oh, like I'm quicker than you guys, can't grab me, like just like chirping us. And then we finally lined up in the last night of the scratch race, the last night of the track nationals in the scratch race, final event. And he'd done such a brilliant job, and he just got in my head so hard that like I only had one goal in that race, was to flick Simon. So I spent the whole race just trying to tail him off the back of the bunch. And then in the end, we both just got fucked over. And none of us won. We both got lapped, I think. And I was just
I think there's something in that, though. Like if I'm going, I might not be winning, but you're definitely not winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you look back on it now, you're like, what was I thinking? Why don't I just make the race hard with the rest of the guys and try to get rid of him so he can't sprint? But like and Simon, I must take my hat off, was one of the best piss takers, one of the smart asses.
But did he do a good job?
So
because he also lost.
Yeah, but he probably doesn't care because he's a sprinter. He's already won his national title in the kilo.
Yeah, that's true.
He's won the Keirin. He's just doing the scratchy for a laugh.
He's also won the America's Cup.
Yeah, and he's probably doing the scratch race just because he's trying to get in a chirp us,
Yeah, it's been an own goal.
Yeah, I was having a little think before when I got really wrong-footed by George calling this episode. I was like, what the hell are we going to talk about? And it was just timely that I came across this tweet this morning from our mate Benji Nason from the Lantern Rouge podcast, and he does some cool tweets.
He's good.
And he tweeted this morning about and he explained it all through his tweets. I haven't got them here, but he explained it. He's like, this is not I'm not trying to compare men's or women's cycling, but just as an experiment, he'd like to see Annemiek van Vleuten at her best. Let's say like last year or Olympics this year. How would she go against the men's pro peloton up a mountain? Would she drop us? Would she drop some of us? Would she finish 10th? Would she finish 100th? Just as an experiment.
Judging by my Zwift effort yesterday, I would say she would definitely drop me up a mountain. Currently,
well she did a training camp, didn't she, at the start of a couple of years ago? And
and that came up in one of the tweets.
Yeah.
So I went through the reel, all the replies, and it was a real mixed bag. And some guys were saying like, oh, no chance. And then somebody came up and said, oh, well, she said she did a training camp with the Bike Exchange boys, Mitchelton Scott, back then when she was there. And they all dropped her and stuff. But this was in January, everyone's at different phases. And a lot of people were saying, oh, no, like the men's peloton is it's too good. She wouldn't be able to do it. I on 100%, like not a word of a lie. Me at my best, Annemiek at her best, race up a 15K climb, I think she'd beat me. I honestly do.
Really?
Like, yeah. Mate, when she's doing 6 watts a kilo for 30 minutes. I'm not doing that. And a lot of guys in the peloton aren't doing that. Of course, she's not going to beat you guys, George, and those people. But she's doing 6 watts per kilo for maybe 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, a lot longer than a guy over 80 kilos could do. So I think that she, in my opinion, she could outclimb on a one-off climb. Talking about a 200K mountain stage may be a different story, but a one-off climb from bottom to the top, 15K TT, I think she'd put away a lot of the 80 kilo plus.
Why don't they do like a battle of the sexes like that tennis game 30 years ago? That got huge media attention. Just ham it up. Ham it up.
Hey, the tennis thing, have you seen this tennis player that's gone missing?
Oh, the Chinese one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, obviously I haven't seen her because she's missing, but she's putting out some videos or some sort of propaganda to say that she's still alive. And
very
wasn't that
overcompensating,
because
Yeah. It's like
they're treating me well. I've been hitting balls out the back. I'm fine.
And she's just blinking in Morse code at the camera, just going.
Yeah.
That's real weird, eh? But, you digress.
But everyone that comes from China, it's clear. Don't say anything bad about China or the government, or shit will go down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas New Zealand, it's like a national sport, just railing on the government right now.
That's right.
I put a thing up like how to navigate this vaccine passport thing, and inadvertently, I inspired every anti-government fucking cycling fan in New Zealand. Everyone's like, "Yeah, you're still voting Labour," and just like piling on. I'm like, I was just trying to ask a question, a genuine question, how do I get around this? And then it's just so everyone's so angry at the moment. I was like, yeah, but sorry,
mate, wait till you go training when you get out. I've been training the last couple of days in the farm district of Rotorua, and there's signs up everywhere on people's bits of land, like all these different catchphrases, like this pandemic is Cindy and her Labour government's 9/11, and like all these like just digs at the farmers don't like her anyway. The best of times, let alone they've got to use a vaccine passport to go to the pub. They're like, oh fuck this.
Hey,
everyone's so angry here, right? It is actually nuts. I've noticed it's different vibes this time. Last time I came home, it was like the solidarity. Stroke. Am I having a stroke? And this time I've come home and everyone's just pissed. Everyone's just so angry.
Yeah, but you'd love it. You'd just slot straight in.
Yeah, it's good.
You wouldn't be the odd man out anymore. It'd be just like George is just one of the boys.
The last day we were in MIQ, we were in Auckland as well, and we were on Queen Street, which for those who don't know, who aren't from New Zealand, Queen Street's like the main street. It's like Flinders Street or whatever in Melbourne. It's like the main street of the Auckland CBD. And obviously Auckland's in a lockdown, so it's really, really quiet. But on the Sunday, the last Sunday we were there, we had an hour and a half of like every farmer in the Auckland district who's within bloody tractor distance of Queen Street coming down. The big John Deeres, like all the utes, signs out, flags out the window, just fully protesting they weren't protesting the pandemic stuff. They're protesting all the shit that farmers protest, which some of it actually makes sense. But so it gave us an hour and a half of entertainment watching like these people just against Cindy and her government. It's been all go.
Yeah, a lot of people railing at the moment, but this one guy's just chipping, like people just chipping in at me because they just know like I'm backing her in, and everyone's just going.
Maybe that's a reason to pull the pin on a New Year's Eve party. It might be like a platform you're the beacon of all this bloody government shit. You might have been a target.
That's the whole thing. There's a
John Deere trucks rolled up.
And it'd be very easy to. It's a pretty you don't want to become the like the face of it going wrong. If you for example like so it's pretty uncontrolled home quarantine. So 4 days or 3 days home quarantine. And if you go home and say you were tempted to go, okay, I'll go out on my bike, not stop anywhere. It's so risky. Like you just wouldn't do it because people know you, and you just go.
You'd have to send an email to UAE going, "I've enjoyed the time, thanks guys."
Yeah, I'll just have a Tim Paine like press conference.
Yeah,
I'll just be sitting there with tears, and they'll be like, "Oh, he's been sending dick pics."
I will not accept any questions at the end of this. I just want to read a statement.
I want to. So I came up with two wrong-footed subjects. The first one was the Annemiek van Vleuten upper climb. My opinion is she could beat a large majority of the 80 kg club.
Okay.
My second question was, this is a good one for you, George. And I was having this chat with Hannah when we were out riding yesterday. Let's say you did a normal preseason, or even like a slightly exaggerated preseason in terms of hours. So you did your 30-hour weeks in December, and you did your 30-hour weeks in January, and you did all that stuff. But then from the 1st of March until the last day of the season, if you trained only 3 hours, never more than 3 hours. So you trained 6 days a week. Your recovery days were 3 hours. Your endurance days were 3 hours, and your days with efforts were 3 hours. Do you reckon you could be as good as what you are doing the way we train now?
Yes. Yeah, you could pull it off. I reckon you could pull it off. I think you'd be all right because like there's a whole new thing now where you just ride around really fast all the time. Like no matter what you're doing, you ride this. You ride either zone 2 or zone 4, so you could do it. The 3 hours like long rides, you'd have to ride pretty hard to get 3 hours, and you would have to not eat before you went out to get the endurance stuff. You just have to fast, get full gas fasting, and then go ride really hard for 3 hours, and that'd probably give you a pretty similar effect to like a 5 or 6 hour ride.
Yeah, because
recovery days at 3 hours, that would be what will kill me.
Yeah, because obviously you're going to lose. You're not going to be hitting those endurance zones if you're only doing 3 hours. Typically we'll do training rides of 5 or 6 hours, or sometimes 7. But my idea behind the endurance thing was, let's say you did all the big endurance all the way up to the 1st of March, and then from there your endurance ride was only 3 hours, but you got your endurance from the racing. So if you're preparing for a Grand Tour, or if you're preparing for the classics, for example, which are in April, you need to have good endurance to race for 6 hours. But you'd go and do like a stage race before the classics. Then if you're preparing for and you've also done your big endurance up to the 1st of March, so you're only stopping the endurance training 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out from the classics. Then preparing for a Grand Tour. Typically now when people prepare for Grand Tours, especially riders like yourself, you don't race actually for quite a long time before.
No, we don't race hardly any.
You hardly race. You might race 5 weeks out, and then you go into a big altitude training block, and you do all your endurance stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, instead you'd have to flip it, and you'd have to race right up to the Grand Tour. To keep the endurance, or you might race up until 2 weeks before the Grand Tour. I reckon there's ways around it, and I reckon you could do it.
Scud did something similar where he, like in 2019, I didn't race from California until the Tour. And then I remember like Tom Scully was doing either that year or 2020. He had this outrageous race program where he was away for like 40 days preceding the Tour. He was just on the road, just doing like Valon races and just everything, like outrageous race schedule. And then he was flying. So there's many ways to skin a cat. But like, we could also sell a lot of misinformation here. Like there's a lot of up and comers, and we need to protect ourselves in our jobs. So we could also use this as a platform to like send a lot of bad information to, like, remember when Froome and Ineos did that? Like,
no, it gives us an opportunity to use these young guys as test dummies to see if it actually works.
So you're not going to do it, Bewls. You're not going to test it.
I'll do it, but I reckon you just go back to the old school style of race calendars where like we do like 60, 70 race days now. Like 15 years ago, they were doing 120 race days. So you'd go back to that style of where you'd be like, you need the whole peloton to do it, because if you were the one guy going, I'll just use these races as preparation, you wouldn't be getting through them because they're all so fucking hard these days.
You imagine stepping into like Paris-Nice off 3 hours, and you've got like a 250k stage lined out with crosswinds, and everyone's just hooking.
And you're
but you're not eating, so you'd be lean.
You're trying to tell the team you're just here for endurance. I'm just here for an endurance block. And it's just from the kilometer zero in the gutter, full gas.
And there's already like when you'd be scared. The thing that scares me the most in Paris-Nice is when you're in the neutral zone and you see you know, like normally, so what happens in bike races is the neutral zone, so it's like 5K or whatever, you roll out, and then the flag drops, the race starts. And normally in the neutral zone, everyone's just talking shit, all right, race is going to start, break's going to go. And in Paris, you're in the neutral zone, and it's absolute war because everybody wants to be the first guy behind the car. And as soon as you feel people fighting, everyone's crashing in the neutral zone because it's like 30k an hour. You can't go faster than the car, so it's super slow. But it's just a full fight. So everyone's trying to get their handlebars in front of each other. It's just absolute madness. And when you feel like the fighting in the neutral zone, you're just sitting there just like, oh, shit. And you know, as soon as that flag drops, and it's just like one line, 15 groups, absolutely like World War III.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd be pretty scared going there with 3 hours.
If you line up at the back of Paris, you know I'm in the last group today. You know?
Yeah.
Because it goes, it's like that stage in the Vuelta in 2019.
Oh, 19. Yeah, in Burgos.
In Burgos there, when it was the fastest stage over 200k in Grand Tour history or something. And for one reason or another that day, well, not for one reason or another, it was because it was windy. I decided I'm going to start at the front. So I started at the front, and sure enough, Knoxie was the instigator. James Knox just chased the neutral car as it took off and just went boom straight away into pieces, into groups. And if you weren't in the first 30 at the start of that, when the flag dropped, you weren't in the front group, and that was it. Boom, 30 guys gone for the rest of the stage.
That was the hardest day of my life to this very day. That was the worst.
It was so hard. I made the selection, and it was so fucking hard. And I remember just saying that I made the selection with Dion, Esteban, and Damo, and the group was about 40 initially, and then halfway through the stage, we had another crossing sections, and it split in half, and we lost Esteban and Damo, and then it was just Dion and I. And it was
I'm
like
sort of joining the dots why you brought this story up, but continue.
And then there was yeah. I wanted to circle it back to me.
Esteban got dropped. Yeah, no, I was still there. It was fucking hard.
Annemiek was dropped. And then we got like 20k to go, and there was 25 of us, and Dion's a fast guy. I said, mate, I got chewing gum stuck in my teeth. I said, Dion, you wait for the sprint, and I'll tag moves, in the last 20k. And we turned right with 25k to go, or 20k to go, and it was tailwind. And we're just going like 70. Remember how fast that was, George? It was like 70k an hour from there to the finish line. I was like, oh, no one's moving.
So bad, eh? That's my position. You just set up camp. You just set up camp at the back. I remember that day we took off, right? We were winning the Vuelta at Primoz. And then I saw the group, and I was like, oh, shit, Primoz isn't in here. Tony Martin drops back. And then we look at the situation, and it was like, okay, they're a minute up the road. We need to close this down. So we start riding like full gas. We're like, okay, just ride 10k, absolute like max, see what happens. 10k going. And then we get the next time check, it was like 2 minutes. We're like, oh, that must be wrong. Just keep riding full. And then it was like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, we're like 4 minutes away from losing the Vuelta right now.
And then they go, Sam Bewley's in the gap, and you're like in the break, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Oh, that was and we just chased full gas, and we were just doing like suicide pulls. So I started riding at a pace I thought I could do for 5 minutes, and then 3 hours later I was still on the front chasing. It
was so hard.
Pieces.
It was so hard.
I reckon I'm still fatigued from that day. I'm still carrying chronic fatigue.
I'm still carrying mental scarring, that's for sure.
I'm mentally scarred from these Zwift races if I keep losing.
Hey, I got a question for you. Today is Black Friday. You know how it's like the big sales event and all this sort of stuff. And in Australia, it's like, what the fuck is Black Friday? Like 5 years ago. But now Halloween's massive. Like Black Friday's huge in the States. What's next? Like, I reckon Thanksgiving is going to be the next thing that Aussies and New Zealanders are going to sort of launch into.
Well, how can we jump on the Thanksgiving bandwagon? It's like,
isn't Thanksgiving just like a dinner to say thanks?
No, I think it's when they took over America from the natives. No,
is it?
I think so.
Is it?
I think it's something to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. I'll Google it while I talk. But
I think you might want to get that right.
I think it's something. I think it's honestly something to do with when they took over from the natives. You talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to find out if I'm right there.
On the Black Friday, it's funny how marketing just gets you now because they warm you up like Black Friday's coming, it's coming, and you've got a couple of weeks to go. Shit, this Black Friday, it's on our doorstep. And then you hear up. They always fuck you with the up to before they announce percentages. Up to 75% off, and you go, fuck, 75% off. you get in there and you scroll and you're going, 10% off, 15% off. And then with the delivery with the posties here in Australia, you're not going to get it till Christmas next year. And so then, and then it's finally you get the 75% off. It's a pair of fucking Puma socks.
They suck you in. They go, you just feel like it would be financially irresponsible not to buy it.
Yeah.
They've got me thinking that, like, oh, there's no option.
Well, I bought a TV and I've gone 85 inch. I've gone like, bugger this. I'm going like full cover the wall sort of stuff. And I got the whole spiel, like the TV salesmen are classic. They start spinning the shit about 4K, 8K. I say, yeah, mate, but nothing's in 8K at the moment. Yeah, that's correct. But, the way things are going, you want to be ready. You want to be ready. It's like, fuck off, mate. 8K's not coming anytime soon. And then they bullshit you about pixels and color. And then I eventually just said to the guy, listen, mate, I'm colorblind. So all that stuff just doesn't mean shit to me. So just give me something that works. Give me the best deal, big, and let's go. And that was it. But then I ended up like same thing, Black Friday. I ended up walking away with a fucking new vacuum cleaner. And now I realize that I'm getting to that age where like if I get a really good vacuum cleaner, it is fucking awesome. It's like an 8-year-old getting a Optimus Prime truck, Like I've tested it straight away and I'm like, the fucking suction on this thing.
So excited.
Mate.
I've got it.
What is it?
So for many Americans, Thanksgiving symbolizes a bond and peace between the two people, the European settlers and the Native Americans. Two people as they sat together at the same table and perhaps hope of lasting reconciliation after centuries of division. For many other Americans, however, this is not a cause for celebration. It is a reminder of the brutal acts perpetrated on the Native Americans by European settlers and the US government, massacres, land stealing, and relentless attacks on their cultures since livelihoods since 1970. The fourth Thursday of November has also been known as National Day of Mourning.
Oh, okay. So I don't think that's going to take off in Australia and New Zealand then.
Well, you already have that with Australia Day, don't you?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a similar thing.
That's pretty hot take though that people are taking. There's two people there's two very different camps sitting around in America right now. People that are just like sitting there going like, "Oh, I'm just so happy," that's great celebration, and there's just people there going like National Day of Mourning.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Got another email from Cyclists.
It's another resignation.
Oh, no.
I won't open that during the show.
Who was it this time? Should have this rate on where I'm going to resign.
Yeah.
That was just my resignation.
I got me fucking car booked in for a service today as well. And that you can go down a rabbit hole on this one. But last time I got in for a service, I got the classic, there's a leak. Now they always love telling you problems, but there's always a leak with some part. And it was my shockers. Last time it was like, oh, mate, we've got a leak in your rear shockers. We need to fix that.
The shockers?
The suspension or the shockers or whatever. Suspension leak. And I was
That's like what a 4-year-old would call suspension. Shockers.
What? Really? Oh, well, fuck, I'm not a car man. The fucking bouncy things that stop your bloody car from bouncing up and down. The coils.
Yeah, shocker in New Zealand is something very different. You need to edit your words.
There's a fucking suspension leak, okay? And then when I heard
shockers.
well, straight away I thought, how does suspension leak? Like, isn't it just
fluid? Like, suspension fluid, no.
Oh well. And then
it's
I thought
not just springs.
Well, this
is why
I get taken for a ride. So I was thinking, no, I'm going to test them. I'm not going to get it fixed, even though they said it was urgent. And I'll see if the same problem pops up next time. And I've taken in this morning, and then nowadays they send you like an email and you can tick what you want to get done. Oh, man, it was like, you need your brake pads. It's at 4 mil, but we can run 3 mils the minimum. So I was like, all right, we'll wait for the minimum. We'll do that next time. And then they go, there was no mention of the leak with the suspension. So I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Wouldn't there still be a leak, or wouldn't there still be evidence of that leak?
Well, no, it's run out of fluid. It's not leaking anymore. It's all empty. It's empty.
Oh, yeah.
Is your car dragging along the bottom of the ground, or the bottom of your car dragging along the ground?
Well, the sound of your car, like brake pads, suspension, these wing mirrors, doors, it's like that that plane out of hot shots that's coming in. Like, I'd love to win.
Yeah. No, I just reckon that you just can't trust the bastards. Like you can't.
You can't.
You can't.
Especially
it's the same shit.
Like in your situation, Jones, you just admitted to the public that you're not a car man. So if your car mechanic's listening to the show, he can take you for a ride because we don't know. I'm the same. Exactly. They say, oh, there's this, and this wrong. I go, how the fuck am I supposed to know the difference? I lift the bonnet up and firstly, I don't know how to lift the bonnet up. And once I work that out, then I go, well, I don't know what I'm looking at. You must be right.
You know what I couldn't work out the other day, which is absolutely embarrassing, is where the battery is in my car. It's
in the boot.
This thing, mate. It's not in the boot. It's like, where's Wally for batteries? I was looking everywhere because I was like, oh, I'm going to disconnect. I'm going back to New Zealand for a while. I'm going to disconnect the battery, you know? And it's this, they've fucking hidden them. It's honestly like a ploy. Like if you need a battery, you need to take it to BMW. You can't just swap it out. It's not in the boot. I've taken all the panels off. I took everything out of the front, took the top of the motor cap off, looking for this battery. And this is a solar panel car. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not in the boot?
It's not in the boot.
It's weird. Maybe
Yeah, I know.
Do you have a hole in your floor? Are you like Fred Flintstone?
I'm just running.
Better be careful because you'll get charged a $50 battery location fee.
Well, speaking of technical difficulties, last week you guys, the listeners, you would have noticed that my microphone was absolutely shocker. It was absolutely terrible. And so what I did to alleviate that issue was buy a new one. My cousin, who actually listens to the show, he's a bit of a guru with this stuff. He told me that you can actually, if you have bad audio, you can actually edit the audio and make it better before you release the podcast, which is something maybe we could work on as a team. But anyway, I bought a new microphone, and as I was getting my microphone set up today, I also bought a light last week, and this little light here, and I was putting the light on, and I realized that the light's USB as well as the microphone, and I only have one USB port. The light was working last show, and the microphone wasn't. Therefore, I don't think I plugged it in. So
no, but then when you're talking to Hannah, you could hear her clearly whenever the mic was there. So that is like something off Unsolved Mysteries. But it sounded tinny as shit.
Sounds shit.
It was shocking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
let's hope this one's better.
Yeah. So what are your plans over the next couple of weeks, lads? What do you got leading up to Chrissy?
Training. Back on the road. Back on the horse.
I was thinking of taking a run at the hour record. Did you see Formula's hour record?
Yeah, the slowest in history or something.
Slowest hour possible.
He did 900 meters. That's impressive to do only 900 meters in an hour because I presume you have to continue to move.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to come to a standstill. So you can't track stand. It's on a velodrome, and basically you got 1 hour, and you have to always be moving. So you can't come to a complete stop. You come to a complete stop, you're disqualified, and it's just who can do the slowest hour. And he broke the record the other day, 900 meters.
That's impressive. That's more impressive than the current hour record from Victor Campenaerts. Like, how do you do only 900 meters in an hour?
You don't have brakes either. So if you start rolling, you'd be right on the wall because you go up the wall. But I think you have to also go in a straight line.
That's 0.9 kilometers an hour. If my maths is
right.
That's
pretty. And you imagine the burn. You know, like when you're just standing up like on a mountain bike, and you always you already saw back, glutes.
Wow.
So I might take a run at that.
That's off to David Formula.
And I might just go down and get abused by New Zealand drivers. I wonder how my mate is from my punch up a few years ago. He's still roaming the Mott Valley looking for me and trying to run me off the road.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got a new kit now. He's probably looking out for someone wearing yellow. So, yeah, I'm feeling safe about that.
You'll be able to do the Nationals next year, go back to back, and we can update the intro.
If I'm in a position to win, I'm going to put the brakes on just so I don't feature in the intro.
Well, maybe it might be Bewley's year. You could work for Sam because he can get in the breakaways on the hardest Grand Tour stage ever. Why not?
That's it, yeah.
That'd be a great story for the listeners.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.